Thanks for joining me. This is Danny, and welcome back to my 1.12.2 series. We are here in our Waves dimension, which is currently our mining dimension, where we are trying to get some dimensional shards. So today we're going to be making a few more RF Tools dimensions. The first few are going to be resource dimensions, places where we're going to be able to mine specific resources in mass quantities, resources that would normally be very rare. Today we are starting out with dimensional shards. End of the last episode, I had set up a Silk Touch quarry with the RF Tools builder block. I've got a shape card that is a clearing Silk Touch quarry, and I quarried out this entire area. This part we did last time, and that was not silk touched. We quarried out this entire area, which gave us a grand total of 2 stacks of dimensional shards. So that kind of gives you a sense of how rare they are. So now we're going to use those in order to make a dimensional shard. So we just happened to get exactly 2 stacks. That was kind of lucky. I had this running for a while, and then when I came back in and checked, we had exactly 2 stacks in there. So we took a look at the dimlet workbench in the last episode, which basically allows us to make any dimlet using dimlet parts, if we have the correct parts, and some kind of essence, which we get from a collector. So in this case, we're going to need a material absorber in order to absorb our dimensional shard ore, and that is going to give us what we're going to need to make this dimensional shard ore dimlet. So to make a dimlet, we can just double click on this, and it's going to take the parts that we need from up here. So we can see that for the dimensional shard ore dimlet, we can see that it has a rarity of 5. So this is going to be a extremely rare dimlet, and we actually just had 1 rarity 5 dimlet control circuit. So we were lucky enough to have found exactly 1 of those. We're also going to need an advanced energy module, which we also happen to get just 1 of. This is going to be our last one. We're probably going to need another one for the next thing that we're going to do. So I'm going to have to do some more searching for these. And then we also had 1 dimlet advanced memory unit, which was in that slot right there. So these are all the top tier things, although there is rarity 6, so this isn't the most rare, but it is one of the most rare. And then we also need a dimlet material type controller. So then the last piece that we need that goes into this slot is the material absorber. So this is going to be a material absorber that contains the essence of dimensional shards. So in order to do that, we're going to have to let the material absorber, well, first of all, we're going to have to make a material absorber, and then we're going to have to let it absorb our precious 2 stacks of dimensional shards. What are we missing here? Sand? I'm missing sand? I guess I am. First of all, I'm going to place these guys on the ground. Okay, there we go. And then we can set our material absorber down, and it's just going to destroy all these blocks. So we're going to lose them, but it'll be worth it, I swear. Goodbye, dimensional shard ore that took us so long to get. Uh-oh, is it going to reach over here? It looks like it will. Yeah. Nice. So that should be at 100%. It is. Nice. So if we were watching this, we would have seen that little progress bar going up to 100%. So now we can break that guy, and we now have a material absorber block dimensional shard ore. Hooray! This is very exciting. So you saw how rare dimensional shard ore is. So it is no longer going to be rare for us because we now have a dimensional shard ore dimlet. Nice. So I'm going to start with a really simple one, and we'll see what we get. And we'll see what our random features end up being. But the feature that I'm using is scattered orbs. I don't really know what that is. I've never seen scattered orbs before, but it's the only feature that I have that I can give a material to. Theoretically, I'm using a flat terrain. Theoretically, we could make the terrain out of dimensional shards. Or we can make some feature out of dimensional shards, or whatever material dimlet that we use. I'm not going to specify the terrain at this point, so I'm going to try to keep this as cheap as possible, because this is going to cost us 10,000 RF per tick, just for this one material dimlet. So hopefully our power gen will be able to keep up. It should be able to, but it's really going to be stressing it something fierce. So I'm going to grab a empty dimension tab, and I'm going to put it in here, and I'm going to call this shard dimension. Well, we'll just call it shard. We'll call it shard number 1 because this might not be our last one. Okay, so it's stored, and now if we look at this guy, it's telling us, holy crap, it's going to cost us 14,012 RF per tick. The creation cost is going to be 57,000 RF per tick, which is way more than we're producing. And this guy can only pull 15,000 right now because of the way we have it set up. So it's going to take a really long time to produce this dimension. Normally it would be 1,142 ticks if we could actually feed it 57,200 RF per tick, but we can't. So it's going to take a while. But before we do that, I'm just kind of curious to see what would happen if we swap those. If we actually make the train out of it and just get rid of the feature. Okay, so then it costs 50,000 RF per tick. So that's definitely, that's the maintenance cost. So that's definitely not something we're going to be able to do. So we're going to want to just use some orbs. All right, where did it go? Oh, there we go. We can do orbs, we could do tendrils, or anything like that. We could actually make this a void world, but the flat only costs 1 RF per tick, so either way, it'll be fine. So we'll store that, and then we will stick it in our dimension builder. This dimension has an activity monitor in it, but we are loading chunks in there, so I'm going to have to go in there and unload those chunks so that this guy will stop pulling power, because if we take this dimension tab out right now, we'll see that it's going to pull all the power out of the dimension, and I don't really want to do that. Here we are in the mining dimension again. In the last episode, we did place this activity monitor here, which basically tells the dimension that, hey, if there's nothing going on in here, don't use any power. So this is kind of monitoring the activity in the dimension. But we do have a chunk loaded. There we go. Now it's not chunk loaded. Okay, so I unloaded those chunks. Now if we look in here and we pull this out, we should see that it is no longer consuming power. So the current power is staying at 4 million. We're going to put this guy in here, and it's going to suck all of our power for a while. You can see it's going really fast right now, but that's only because we have this power buffer. As soon as it runs out of the power buffer, it's going to slow down quite a bit. Yeah, oh boy. So this is going to take a while for me, not for you. While we're waiting for that, I did notice that our time absorber is complete. So it must have gotten 10 pulses at noon. So we now have a noon time absorber, so we can make a time noon dimlet. Hooray. All right, this guy's done. It's filling up with power right now. You can see it's taking 14,000 RF per tick, which is like just barely, like just below what we can actually put in here. I'm going to take it out for a second just so I can shift right click it, and then we can take a look at what we got and see if we're actually going to want to keep this. Nope, we are not going to want to keep this dimension because, oh man, we just wasted a lot of power on that. Because it has effect wither. We didn't specify an effect because I was trying to save money. And we got an effect wither, so we're definitely not going to want to keep this dimension. Let's see, we got flat terrain that's made out of a chiseled netherrack block. We have orbs with dimensional shards, which is what we want. We've got a base fluid of water. We've got a controller forest, so the entire thing is forest. Feature scattered orbs. Effect wither. Now that's going to be like wither 2 or wither 3, I can't remember, but yeah, we don't want that. Body, moon, celestial angle, so it's actually 0.75. I think that's actually like just before dawn, so it's going to be dark there too. So it's going to be a pretty horrible dimension, and we do not want this. So we're going to extract it, and we're going to put a digit in there. So that, let's see, did we get any digits? No, we didn't. Okay. We're going to put a digit in there to basically use the same dimlets, but we'll still end up with a different world. So it doesn't matter what dimlet digit we put in there. We can do any one of them. They're all crafted starting with, oh boy. Let's just do a stack of paper. Starting with this, and that's our digit dimlet 1. Sorry, that gives us the digit 0. We can put that in a crafting table to get digit 1. 0 is fine, it doesn't matter, as long as we have something in there that will make it different. So the digit does not change anything as far as like the features of the dimension, but it will make it unique so that we end up with a different dimension. So we're going to call this shards number 2, and we're going to store, and then we're going to hope for the best. Okay, this guy's done. I just want to check on our deep resonance system, and it's doing quite well. The automation. So I'm going to shift right click this. I'm going to put it back in there, and let's see what we've got. It's looking good so far. Terrain flat. Base block is stone, which means there's actually going to be ore that we could, stone and water. And then we've got scattered orbs, dimensional shards. So this is actually looking pretty good. Celestial angle is 0, so it's always daytime. So we have a white sky, a white fog, and white clouds. So it's going to be very white. It's going to be very white in there. Nice. So now before we go in there, there's a couple things that I'd like to do just in case we run out of power or something. So far, we are definitely producing more power than it's using, so that's good. But just to make sure, I want to create a dimension monitor so that we can see the power that we have in that dimension. So if for some reason it starts to run out of power, we'll know. I would also like to make a phased field generator. This guy is going to basically save us if the dimension runs out of power. We do need to keep it in our hotbar, and basically what it'll do is if the dimension runs out of power, everything in a dimension will go black, and the light, basically you'll lose your light source, and everything will stop. Like if there's any mobs, they're basically just going to freeze. It's kind of cool, actually. Maybe we'll take a look at a dead dimension later just so that we can kind of see what that looks like. This guy will basically make the dimension in our immediate surroundings alive. Oh boy, I'm gonna have to go. I don't think I have my wireless charger way out here. Crap. And I want to kind of hurry. And we definitely want an activity monitor in that dimension because we do not want it sucking all that power when we're not there. Okay, so we're definitely getting a net gain of power right now with our deep resonance and our empowered canola going on. So I think it's safe for us to go in our new dimension. And we can see the beam is yellow, meaning that it's safe, but it's not chunk loaded. So it's probably safe. And we have... Oh, I was supposed to call that shards number 2, but that is the second one I can tell because that has an ID of 5, and that one has an ID of 4. This one is the wither dimension. We don't want that one. Definitely don't want to go to that one. All right, ready? Let's go. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay. Oh, that's what scattered orbs are. Okay. Oh, I don't like that very much, but whatever. That'll be fine. The builder will take care of that. So you can see how much power the dimension has right now. It's low, but it's increasing, so we should be safe. Wow, this is crazy. It's kind of cool, actually. We've got we've got these little root sprouts hanging out on our dimensional shards. Okay. Yeah, so this isn't, I mean, it's not as nice as like if they were complete orbs, but whatever. I'm going to set up our builder. I brought the builder block with us, so we're going to end up, oh boy, we're going to end up sucking even more power. Let's just put this here, right on our platform. Oh boy, mobs are spawning under there. It's actually dark. There's our power cell. Put a modular storage on top. This is the storage that is going to take stuff and put it back. And actually, we don't want to silk touch anymore. So I got to run back to my base real quick. But I'm going to place this activity probe so that when we're not in this dimension, it is not going to be sucking 15,000 RF per tick. It'll just that way it'll be able to finish filling up the buffer. Get that skeleton. Okay, so whatever, we'll just silk touch these, I don't care. We'll start, let's see, how far over does this go? Right about here. But I don't want to mess up my platform, so I'm going to click on that piece of grass, so that's going to be our lower left corner, or lower northeast corner. And now we need, or northwest corner, now we need the south. the upper southwest, which is going to be way up here. I probably should have made myself an angel block, because now I'm going to have to come out here. Okay. Whatever. We just need to get the bulk of it. Being a scattered orb makes this a little bit harder because there's less stuff in more space, but whatever. Okay. All right, so there's the upper corner. And now we're going to have to really keep an eye on our power. I'm lucky to have that dog there. Okay, so we're ignoring redstone. Actually, let me just make sure that we're avoiding... Oh, whatever. Okay. Start. Okay. We can see all the dimensional shard ores we're getting. Nice. Look at them all. We are not going to have to worry about dimensional shards for a long time. So I did like half of that orb, and I got 3.3k. 3,352 dimensional shard ore. Nice. Now I just have to process them. I'm going to do this the easy way. I've got a constructor from Refined Storage. Our dimensional shards are already in there, in our Refined Storage system. So it's going to place dimensional shard ore, and then I've just got a deconstructor that's going to destroy them. That's it. And of course we can speed these guys up. And then I also have a drawer upstairs for our dimensional shards. So we're going to end up with about 10,000 dimensional shards altogether. So we're going to be set. So I maxed out the speed upgrades. So that's crazy fast. I've got 4 speed upgrades in both. We got a total of 10,083. Nice. So rather than silk touching a bunch of Ender Draconium ore, I'm going to bring a material absorber and just place it on there. And it's going to get all the stuff in the area, and then we can pick it up. And we can see that we now have a material absorber with block Ender Draconium ore, which is 1% absorbed. So now if we find a really nice comet, this is not a very nice comet, but if we find a really big comet that has a big cluster of Draconium ore, then we can just place it right there. You can also place his stuff and it'll pick it up really quickly. See, we're up to 33%. Ender Draconium ore, 100%. Nice. This was our very first random dimension that we made, and it has orbs, and I want orbs. I don't have a dimlet for orbs. Boy, this dimension is laggy, but it has a bunch of orbs. It also has these tendrils. It has a few other things. So when we place down a feature absorber in this dimension, we are going to get one of the random features. I'm hoping that the feature we get is orbs. There's a lot of them, so I feel like we have a decent chance, but let's see. Let's see what it gives us. Well, we got feature shallow ocean. That's not what I want. So, oh, there we go. So we can clear it, and we can do it again. Aha! I just found a feature dimlet orbs while I was out looking, so we don't need that. We don't need to absorb that feature anymore. Hooray! Well, we got shallow ocean again. This is the third time. I set out 2 of them this time. The second one is dense caves, so neither of these are ones that we want. But whatever, we got what we wanted already from one of the dimlet buildings. So I just spent quite a bit of time searching for dimlets in my waves dimension, because that's the easiest one to find the dimlet buildings. And I have much of what I need, but not quite everything. So we did get the orbs feature, so I don't have to try to absorb that now. Well, sadly, I ran into some problems with my recording software, and I lost like the last couple hours of gameplay. So I made a few dimensions, and we're going to take a look at those now and get caught up on my progress. So I have in my hand a Draconium dimension. Draconium, I called Draconium number 1, and we'll just throw it in here and take a look at how I made it. A flat terrain dimlet. I didn't specify anything. I just let it come up with some random materials. And then we have this material dimlet Ender Draconium, which is modifying our feature dimlet huge orbs. So I found a huge Orbs dimlet when I was searching dimlet buildings, and now we have huge orbs of Ender Draconium. And I called it Draconium number 1. I stored it, and you can see that it is taking 1800 RF per tick. However, I did place a activity probe in that dimension, so it's only using power when we're there. So let's just take a look at the specs of this dimension. We have mangrove wood planks. That is the base block, so the world is made out of mangrove wood planks. And guess what? I harvested some and I put them in here, and I kind of like them in here. I don't know if you remember when I made this building, but I wasn't real happy with the floor because it was white and it didn't look very good with that ceiling color. So yeah, I ended up getting. We have an unlimited supply of these mangrove wood planks, and let's see. We have huge orbs of Ender Draconium ore, and we have a base fluid of water, so if there's any oceans or whatever, which there won't be because it's a flat dimension, but whatever, they would be water. We have the default biome controller, which really doesn't matter because it's made of mangrove wood planks, so the whole world's just going to look the same. We have sun brightness 1. These are all basically defaults of color, except white. Yeah, everything's white. And we have sky type of sky stars 2. And then we have 1 probe because I placed an activity probe in there. So let's take a look. I already quarried this and got us a bunch of Draconium, but let's just take a quick peek. I'll just do a dial once. Actually, do we have... No, okay. I guess I'll sleep so that it'll be daytime when we go there because it looks like it has the default time. And there's our stars too. So it is daytime right now, but the sky just always looks like that. And the whole world is made out of mangrove planks. And here's where I just quarried a bunch out really quickly. I have our quarry set up over here. And I quarried out a segment of that orb, as you can see. So I didn't even quarry an entire orb, and I got 7.7 thousand Draconium dust out of just this. So we basically have unlimited Draconium. It costs us a lot of RF when we're in here. We got some down there. But yeah, I just set up the quarry here, the builder quarry, and quarried out that, and yeah. And there's our activity probe. We can probably take this out. We don't really need this here anymore. And then head back home. It's a pretty cool looking dimension, actually. Uh-oh. Alright, I'm out of here. So the next dimension I made was just one that looks cool. I wanted a nice fun place to explore and maybe do some building at some point in the future. So I made kind of a magical-ish dimension. And I ended up making 2 of them because the first one had some problems. So first of all, we have a Lost Cities. It's a Lost Cities dimension, which is from the Lost Cities mod, and we'll see what that's all about in a second. And it's made out of stone and water, so it's basically just a default dimension, just like the overworld. And then we have a magical controller. The controllers, like I mentioned earlier, are what controls the biomes. And there are controllers that allow us to filter biomes so that we only allow certain biomes. Like you could have a single biome, but then there's some pre-made filters, and the magical controller basically fills up the world with magical dimensions, or dimensions that are that kind of fit the category of magical, and we'll see what that is in a bit. I've got a sky dimlet with a large moon, and we've got a dark cyan sky. Hey, what happened to the name? Huh. So it was called Magic number 2. Okay, and again, I do have an activity probe. I've been putting activity probes in all of our dimensions, especially since we only have 1 dimension builder, so we can only power 1 dimension at a time. So I'm going to put that in there, and we're going to check out the magic dimension right now. So here it is. It is a Lost Cities dimension, so it's basically the entire dimension is one big, huge, never ending city with ugly slime islands. We have hunger in this dimension. And I forgot to shift right click the demo to show you that, but yeah, we got hunger in this dimension, and it's all magical to a magical biome. So this is a lavender field, which is considered magical. I thought this was kind of cool. It's the Sacred Springs dimension. It looks really cool when it's in a city because you got big huge trees on top of buildings. It's like nature is reclaiming the city. By the way, if you're looking for spawners and loot, these lost cities are a really great source of them. There's freaking loot everywhere. Flower Island, even though it's not really an island, surrounded by Mystic Grove. This is cool. I like this dimension. And there's our big moon. I want to show you some of the commands that you can run with RF tools that can kind of help you manage your dimensions. These are admin commands, basically. So if you're playing on a server, you do need to be an admin in order to run these commands. The first command is Rft Dim List. So, of course, they all start with Rft Dim, which stands for RF Tools Dimensions. And this will give you a list of all the dimensions in the world, including non-RF Tools dimensions. So we can see we have the Deep Dark dimension, we have the Spectra dimension, Extra Utilities Core dimension, the End, another, the Overworld. And then we have the dimensions that we made. So here's our random number 2. It has an ID of 3. We have the Shards 2 dimension, 5, Draconium 1. And I already deleted a couple dimensions, and I did that, well, I thought I did it with you, but then, like I said, I had problems with my recording software, so you didn't get to see me do it. But basically, there's a couple different ways to delete dimensions. So if you create a dimension, you don't want it, it's taking up space in your world files. There's 2 different ways. One is with the dimension editor, and that is, but this does have to be enabled in the configs, in the RF Tools configs. If you can use the dimension editor to edit certain aspects of a dimension, so things that don't have to do with world gen, so like the mob spawns, things like that, you can put dimlets in here and it will insert them into your dimension and basically change the dimension based on that dimlet. You do lose the dimlet though. It doesn't add the dimlet to the dimension, it only adds that property. So like if you take your dimlet and you extract it in your dimension inscriber, you will not get the dimlets that you put in here. They will be lost and gone forever. If you put TNT in there, it'll delete the dimension. And that, again, that does need to be enabled in the configs in order for that to work. That's how players can delete their own dimensions on a server, if that's enabled. The other way is to use the command Rft Dim Safedel. And what that'll do, and then you give it the ID of the dimension. So like I deleted dimension number 4, which was our first Shards dimension that we made, that had Wither 2 in it. And once you hit enter, it's going to immediately delete that dimension and the dimension folder from the hard drive, either your hard drive or the server hard drive. It's kind of a dangerous command, so you want to make sure, absolutely sure, that you want to delete that dimension. It's, everything that's in that dimension, if you left anything in there, it's going to be lost. I deleted dimension number 2, which was our first random dimension. I deleted number 4, which was our first Shards dimension. And then I also deleted my first magic dimension because it had some problems, and I don't remember what those problems were, and I lost the recording, so I'll never be able to tell you, sadly. So that's it with RF Tools dimensions. There's one more thing I want to show you. I don't know if you remember a few episodes back, but I had set up this automated door opening system over here using RF Tools sensors in order to do that when we come in, and it was this complicated redstone thing, which would work great with any doors. There is a feature in Malice's doors that Tomas Portillo, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, pointed out to me in the comments that will make this much easier with Malice's Doors custom doors. So I created these doors with the door factory with Malice's Doors. There's a little checkbox here. This is player detection. You check that. That's all you gotta do. And the door opens for you. However, you do need to set a auto close delay. If that's set to 0, the door will never close, from what I can tell. And you can't close it unless you're far away from it. So in the next few episodes, I'm going to be doing kind of a mini-series, Chisels and Bits tutorial. So of course I do a lot of builds with chisels and bits. This one has a lot of chisels and bits. Every build I do has a lot of chisels and bits in it. And every time I do a build with chisels and bits, I talk a little bit about what I'm doing and how to work with chisels and bits, but I've never really done like a comprehensive chisels and bits episode, just kind of starting from the beginning and showing you how to use the mod and all the cool things you can do with it. And I've been getting a lot of questions in the comments about it, so I'm going to do a mini-series. It's kind of going to be its own playlist. So sort of separate from the series, but it'll be here. It'll be in some of my old worlds too. We're going to look at some of my other Chisels and Bits builds and see how I did them. And, you know, starting out with the basics and just how to use the basic stuff, and then kind of getting into some more advanced, interesting, fun stuff like railings and maybe even furniture and things like that. And trim. I mean, of course, I use it a lot for trim and for roof pitches and stuff like that. I hope you check that out. So if you have any questions about RF Tools Dimensions or anything else that we did today or any other time or whatever, or anything, or if you have any comments or ideas or questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And if you did enjoy this, don't forget to click the like button and to join me next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.